Here are two probably the most well-known and most recognizable divers watches, which are also often seen as each other's rivals. Rolex Submariner date reference number 126610LN and Omega Seamaster 300M, which has too long reference number to say out loud here, but I'll put the reference down there. The vexed question in the watch world is, which one of these watches is better? Today I'm going to give my answer to that question based on the experience of owning both of these timepieces. Both of these watches here represent the current model from each brand. Although it's a much debated question which one is better, I don't think these watches can be fully seen as an alternatives since they are at different price points. Today, the list price of the Seamaster is 6,600 euros and the Submariner would go for 10,500 euros if you would get a chance to buy one. Not to mention their second market prices. The Submariner is selling over its retail price and Seamaster can be found under its retail price. So when these two are compared, it's necessary to keep in mind that the other one is a more expensive watch. Omega states that the Seamaster 300M is 42mm in diameter and Rolex says the Submariner is 41mm in diameter. Lug-to-lug width of the Seamaster is around 49mm and lug-to-lug width of the Submariner is 48mm. Thickness of the Seamaster is around 13.5mm and thickness of the Submariner is around 12.5mm. So the Seamaster seems to be around 1mm bigger than the Submariner in every direction. And in a matter of fact, that can be easily noticed. Although the current Submariner is the biggest Submariner ever made, it feels compact compared to heftier Seamaster. The bracelet is also one of the key factors that make the Seamaster feel heftier. Lug width of the Seamaster is 20mm and it has a non-tapering bracelet, so the bracelet is 20mm all the way. Lug width of the Submariner is 1mm wider, 21mm, but its bracelet is tapering down to 16mm, which makes the watch comfortable to wear and it also gives the watch slimmer and more elegant look. Although Omega has chunkier appearance compared to Rolex, it sits comfortably even on a smaller wrist. Still, Submariner takes the lead on this. One of the beauties of the Submariner and Rolex watches in general is how balanced wrist presence they have, and that's hard to beat. The clasp of the Submariner seems like a continuum of the bracelet. It has an elegant look and it's well finished. Rolex calls this lock mechanism a folding oyster lock system. As you can see, it's quite robust and secure mechanism. It has a satisfying clicking sound and overall it feels high quality. The clasp of the Seamaster is quite generic and it looks a bit hefty. The lock is released by pushing these buttons. These buttons have a smooth feel, but I have to say that I have had another of these buttons get stuck twice. So I have been a bit disappointed with that. Another dislike are these sharp edges which sometimes press against your skin uncomfortably. Both of these watches have a sliding adjustment in their clasp, which allows you to shorten or lengthen the bracelet without any tools. Rolex calls it a glide lock extension system and Omega calls it a push extension. This is really a comfort feature and I find myself using this a lot, especially during those hot summer days when your wrist expands during the day. I feel that the Rolex's glide lock system is better. Omega's system is not bad either, but I find glide lock feels more solid and more comfortable to use. Also, the glide lock system has a little wider adjustable range. In addition to its push extension, Seamaster has also diver's extension, which comes handy, for example if you need to strap your watch on a diving suit. The current Submariner doesn't have this feature. The case of the Submariner houses Rolex's own 3235 movement, which has a power reserve of 70 hours and accuracy of -2 to +2 seconds per day. The Seamaster houses Omega's fine SOSC certified and METAS tested coaxial caliber 8800 movement, which has a power reserve of 55 hours and accuracy of -0 to +5 seconds per day. Seamaster also has a display caseback which allows you to see this well-finished movement. Omega says its movement is resistant to magnetic fields reaching 15,000 Gauss, which is a pretty useful feature during these days when magnetic fields are everywhere. So points for Omega for that. There is no official information out there about how resistant the Submariner is to magnetic fields, but according to unofficial information, it's resistant to 1000 Gauss. So the Submariner is more accurate and it has a longer power reserve. On the other hand, Seamaster is more resistant to magnetic fields and it has a METAS tested movement, which means it has undergone extensive tests in addition to SOSC tests. Also remarkable is that Rolex has a longer service interval, 10 years. Instead, Omega needs to be serviced every 5 to 8 years. These both are 300 meters water resistant, which is enough for most of us. This extra crown in the side of the case of the Seamaster is a helium escape valve, and you will need this when you are saturation diving. So it's not probably the most necessary feature for us desk divers, but it's a cool thing to have. Submariner lacks this cool feature. They both have a ceramic unidirectional 120 click rotating bezel. The bezel of the Submariner has a good grip, it's precise, and sound and feel of it are kind of satisfying. The bezel of the Seamaster has quite a bad grip, so it's not very easy to use compared to the bezel of the Submariner. The feel of it is not bad, but it would just need a better grip. The center of the dial of the Seamaster is an engraving CrO2, which stands for ceramic material zirconium oxide. That's because in addition to the ceramic bezel, the Seamaster also has its dial made out of ceramic. A ceramic surface with a laser-etched wave pattern gives depth to the dial and it makes it look like it's a living thing. This is a very cool feature. The dial of the Submariner looks like the dial of the Submariner. A classic good-looking dial which is not alive. Only with minor aesthetic changes and improvements, it has stayed almost similar for the past 70 years, and I predict it will stay the same for the next 70 years as well. But that's how things stay classic. It's an evolution rather than revolution. The Seamaster has more design elements and it somehow looks a bit futuristic. Because of that, at the first sight it may look like a more striking watch than a conservative Rolex. Design-wise, Submariner is more simple, but it still lacks nothing. There is a reason why it has remained almost the same from the 50s. It's an icon, and it has probably the most recognizable design in the world of watches. The dial of the Seamaster is easily visible thanks to the double anti-reflective coating on the crystal. The function of an anti-reflective coating is to reduce reflections. The Seamaster has a coating on the inside and outside of the crystal. This solution makes the dial very visible and it almost looks like there is no crystal at all. But the problem with outside coating is that it will usually scratch. This watch has seen very little use, but there are already a few small scratches on the coating. The Submariner also has an anti-reflective coating on the crystal, but it has the coating only inside of the crystal. Hence it's not reducing as much reflections as double coating, but you don't have to deal with scratch coating on the crystal. But which one is better? They are both great watches, but I find that the Submariner is a better watch. Seamaster has features that Submariner lacks. like helium escape valve, double anti-reflective coating and a display caseback. These are cool things to have, but for me, these watches are everyday tools, and in an everyday life I personally appreciate comfort, robustness and usability. A thinner case, tapering bracelet and a better clasp make the Submariner more comfortable to wear. The Seamaster has a great movement, but in an everyday life a better accuracy and a longer power reserve are nice things to have. Also a longer service interval is a plus. Submariner is a purpose-built watch, which is good enough. It's not a mind-blowing watch, but it's a robust watch that excels every subdivision in a simple way. Overall, feel of the Submariner is more solid than the feel of the Seamaster. Also, I find its classic look more appealing in an everyday life. It's just very hard to get bored with it. But you can't go wrong with Seamaster either. It's a strong opponent for more expensive Submariner and better than most of its rivals. Although Omega has been raising its prices lately, it still gives a good value for your money. And the best thing is, you can actually walk in an authorized dealer and buy one. That's not the case with Rolex. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.